It started with an invitation, nothing fancy, just a simple, let's do dinner Friday night, just the two of us. That was it. No emojis, no pet names, just pure, utilitarian text. Now, if you've been married more than 5 years, you know what that means. It's either 1. We need to talk, 2. I need a favor, or 3. I'm about to drop a bombshell that'll make you question every happy memory we ever had. But me? I was optimistic. Naive, even. I figured maybe Ashley wanted to reconnect. She'd been distant lately, more makeup, less patience, smiles that didn't quite reach her eyes. I chalked it up to stress. Her job had been hell, or so she said, and I'd been buried in mine. Marriage, I thought, was just hitting a pothole. So Friday rolls around. I throw on a collared shirt, brush the dust off the cologne I hadn't used since our anniversary, and show up at the restaurant she picked. A nice spot, candlelit, linen napkins folded like origami, waiters who probably corrected your grammar if you mispronounced gnocchi. And there they were, Ashley and a man I'd never met, or thought I hadn't. He stood when I arrived, hand already extended, confident as a guy who thinks he's about to win something. His name was Chase. Tall, gelled hair, shirt so tight it probably needed its own zip code. The kind of guy who thought leg day was a myth and boundaries were optional. Ashley's smile didn't reach her eyes that night either. But it didn't matter, because this wasn't dinner. It was an ambush. So there I was, standing at the edge of the table, trying to figure out why this guy was sitting where I should be. Ashley gestured casually to the seat across from them like we were at a game night instead of an emotional guillotine. Logan, this is Chase. I've mentioned him from work, she said with that sweet tone people use when they're trying to sell you on a vacation timeshare. Yeah, I'd heard of Chase. He was the mentor, the motivator, the guy who really understood her. And here he was now, in my seat, at my table, with a grin that told me he thought this was already over. I sat down, not because I was calm, but because I needed a second to stop my hands from balling into fists. Then Chase leaned forward, real close, like this was some 1940s noir showdown and he was about to offer me hush money. But instead, he said, let's make this simple, Logan. You've got 2 options. I blinked. I'm sorry, are you offering me a menu or a threat? Ashley didn't laugh, didn't even flinch. Chase smiled like he was proud of himself. You can leave quietly, or face me like a man. I heard the blood rush in my ears. That phrase, face me like a man, the kind of nonsense people say when they think they're the main character in a soap opera. I looked at Ashley, waiting for her to shut this down. She didn't. She actually smiled. That's when I knew. This wasn't the start of something. This was the final act. I'd been dragged here to take a bow for a play I didn't even know I was in. I smiled back, leaned in, and said, you want your teeth whole or in pieces? Next thing I knew, Chase met the table with his face, wine glasses went flying, and Ashley was screaming like I was the one who broke the marriage. Security pulled me off him. I walked out with blood on my shirt and glass in my knuckles, while they stayed inside like the happy couple who just survived a minor inconvenience. But I didn't feel rage. Not then. I felt silence. The kind that comes before the storm. When I got home that night, the house felt like a crime scene. Not because anything was out of place, no overturned furniture, no smashed picture frames, but because the air had changed. Like someone had vacuumed out the trust and replaced it with something cheaper. Thinner. Easier to puncture. I stood in the hallway, the front door still open behind me. Ashley's perfume lingered, but not just hers. There was something else, a cologne I didn't recognize. Musky. Aggressive. The kind worn by guys who overcompensate in all the ways that matter. I walked into our bedroom. The bed was made. Which was strange, because Ashley never made the bed. She believed in letting things air out. That was her excuse. But now, tight corners, pillows fluffed like hotel staff had passed through. I sat down on the edge, my knuckles still red and raw from Chase's face, and stared at the perfectly arranged duvet. And then my phone buzzed. Ashley, you didn't have to do that. You embarrassed yourself. No, are you okay? No, let's talk. Just a performance review on how well I crashed her date. I didn't reply. What was there to say? I was a man with glass in his hands and silence in his chest. But I wasn't dumb. I knew that dinner wasn't some impromptu betrayal. That was the end of a long act. The closing ceremony. The affair had been going on for a while. I just hadn't seen it, hadn't wanted to see it. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked the cloud backup for her phone. Look, I'm not the snooping type. I'd always believed that if you had to check, the trust was already broken. But this wasn't trust anymore. This was autopsy work. Her iPad was still connected to her account. She must have forgotten about it, or didn't care. Maybe she assumed I was too dull, too predictable, her favorite word lately, to dig this deep. But I did. And what I found? Well, there were messages. Lots of them. A whole digital scrapbook of treason. Chase, missed your smile this morning. That thing you do when you're pretending not to want me. It's dangerous. Ashley, that thing you do with your hands when you're explaining something like a nerd? Yeah, that's also dangerous. They had inside jokes. Code words. GIFs. A playlist titled Just Us. Then I found the calendar invites. Work meetings that lasted 3 hours, tagged to places nowhere near her office. Hotels. A lake house rental. Even a concert I'd once bought tickets to and she said she wasn't feeling up for. She'd gone with him. They posted no photos. That was smart. But they didn't delete the receipts. Confirmation emails, e-tickets, love notes disguised as reminders. One note said, "Don't forget to pack the red dress. And leave guilt at home." Logan doesn't know. He never will. Well, about that. I spent the next 2 hours collecting, compiling, not just messages, but bank statements. Transactions that didn't add up. A hotel bar charge on a Wednesday she swore she had to work late for quarterlies. She'd been whining and dining on my dime. My card. My blind faith. At one point, I laughed. Really laughed. The kind of laugh that's sharp and dry, with no joy in it. Just disbelief. That's when I noticed the emails. She had a separate account. Something she used to sign up for spa deals and yoga newsletters, or so she claimed. But it was more than that. It was her escape route. A Gmail account full of job applications in cities I'd never considered. Messaging realtors. Submitting resumes under her maiden name. Ashley wasn't planning an affair. She was planning a new life. Without me. I sat back, stared at the wall, and whispered, "Okay." Just that. Because I understood now. This wasn't just a bad decision. This was architecture. Blueprint betrayal. Designed exits. But here's the thing. She was wrong. I did know. And now? I had the keys to every door she tried to shut behind her. Later that afternoon, Ashley came home. Early. Probably to test the waters after the incident. I heard her heels click across the tile like nothing had happened. She walked into the kitchen where I was sipping coffee like a man who hadn't just discovered an underground tunnel out of his own marriage. "Hey," she said casually, setting her purse down. "We should talk." I nodded. "Sure. Just give me a minute." I reached over and grabbed a folder I'd prepared. Not everything. Just enough. A few printed texts. One hotel confirmation. A screenshot of the red dress note. Her smile faded the second she saw the front page. She opened it like a scared teenager checking exam results. Her mouth opened. Closed. Then opened again. "Logan, You were saying?" I asked, voice level. This isn't what you think." I tilted my head. "You sure?" "Because I've had about 12 hours to think and I've been pretty thorough." She looked at the papers again, then at me. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I smiled. "Of course you didn't. You meant for it to happen quietly, cleanly, without resistance. Can we talk about this like adults?" "You mean without flipping tables and breaking noses?" "Yeah, been there." She sat down, slowly, like a hostage negotiator unsure who had the upper hand. I stood. "Let's be clear, Ashley. I'm not begging. I'm not asking you to stay. I just want you to know I know. That's all." Her eyes were glassy. "So what happens now?" And I smiled, because I'd already made my decision. "Oh, don't worry," I said calmly. "You'll find out. There's a moment after the shock wears off, after the disbelief, the denial, the whole internal circus, when clarity comes in like cold air through an open window. That's where I was. Calm. Focused. The kind of calm you get before a big storm. Only this time, I was the one rolling in with thunder. Ashley sat across from me in our own kitchen like a stranger in her own home. The woman who once cried because I surprised her with a dog on her birthday now looked like someone trying to solve a puzzle made of her own lies. "Logan," she said slowly, "I don't know what to say." That was true. Because there was nothing left to say. "I do," I replied. "You said everything you needed to in your emails to Chase. And your calendar. And your other Gmail account." Her jaw tensed. "You went through my—" "Yes," I said. "I did. And if that's the part you're mad about, we're already living on different planets." She didn't answer. Just looked at me like she was calculating damage. How much could be salvaged? How much spin she could manage? But I wasn't here for damage control. I was here to light the fuse. Here's how this is going to go, I continued. You're going to keep pretending everything's fine. For now, smile at your coworkers. Kiss your friends on the cheek. Play happy wife in public. She blinked. Why would I? Because I need time, I said, cutting her off. Time to untangle what you've turned into a mess. Her eyes narrowed. You're going to drag this out? Drag? I chuckled. No, Ashley. I'm going to choreograph it. See, I'd spent all night not just reading texts, but thinking like her. If I were Ashley, what would I do? File early. Control the narrative. Play the victim. He hit someone. He's violent. I could already hear her rehearsing it in the mirror. So I stayed quiet. For now. She leaned forward, voice softer. Logan, we can fix this. It was a mistake. I nodded, but not in agreement. More like acknowledgement. The way you nod at a car alarm that won't stop. A mistake, I echoed. You had a whole second email address for your mistake. That's not a slip. That's infrastructure. Her face flinched at that one. I stood and poured myself another cup of coffee. No shaking hands. No cracks in the voice. That was the thing about clarity, it came with composure. And I had it now. Where are you going? She asked, rising halfway from her seat. I turned, sipping slowly. To my office. I have calls to make. Calls? Yes. To lawyers. Financial advisors. A few quiet friends who owed me favors. See, Ashley built herself a little back door to escape through. But I had tools too. Knowledge, timing, leverage. And more importantly, patience. That evening, I made my first move. I called her sister. Now, Ashley and her sister, Megan, had a complicated relationship. One of those passive-aggressive dynamics where every holiday turned into a Cold War summit. But Megan liked me. Always had. Thought I was the only adult in the room, as she once put it. Megan, I said casually, just wanted to give you a heads up. Ashley and I are having some issues. Nothing public yet. I'd appreciate it if you kept it under your hat for now. There was a pause. Oh, she said carefully. Is it serious? Let's just say it's layered. Megan was quiet for a beat longer than expected. Then, does this have anything to do with that guy she posts about on her story? Chase something. I didn't have to say anything. The silence did the work for me. I knew it, she muttered. That smug little rat. I told her she was playing with fire. That was the moment I knew the walls were already cracking on her side. Ashley might have planned her escape, but she hadn't checked for leaks. I spent the next week documenting everything. Emails, screenshots, call logs. I checked the joint bank accounts, found charges on gift cards, jewelry, and Airbnb rentals. Always subtle, always just under the radar. She was good, but not good enough. Every night, we played our roles. She'd make dinner. I'd compliment it. She'd try to touch my arm. I'd smile and change the subject. I became a ghost in our house, present, but not really there. And she knew it. She just didn't know what came next. The final piece came Thursday morning. An email. From Chase. Subject. That night. Body. We're not pausing again, are we? You promised this time was different. Attached was a photo. Ashley. In the red dress. Holding a wine glass. In the hotel room I just paid off the Visa bill for. I stared at that email like it was a museum piece. Studied the angles. Not out of pain, out of confirmation. That was my green light. I forwarded the image to my attorney with the subject. She blinked first. Then I texted Ashley. Me. Dinner tonight? Just us. I've been thinking. She replied within seconds. Ashley, of course. I'd love that. We should talk. Yeah, we should. She wore the red dress. Of course she did. Ashley always had a flair for theatrics. Right dress, right lipstick, right timing. She thought this dinner was her chance to steer the ship back to shore. What she didn't realize was that she'd already boarded a different vessel, and I was the one lighting the fuse underneath it. We met at a quiet little Italian place, intimate, dim, the kind of place where people get engaged or celebrate anniversaries. A place with memories baked into every corner. Which, of course, made it the perfect setting to burn one down. She arrived 5 minutes late, just enough to maintain control. A gentle entrance, soft smile, not quite contrite, not quite confident. She leaned in for a kiss. I offered a cheek. She pulled back, studied me. You look good, she said, smoothing the napkin into her lap. Like you've been sleeping better. I had. Funny how sleeping beside a trader for months will do a number on your REM cycles. Once the illusion breaks, though, you start resting like a monk. I smiled. You too. That dress. It's familiar. She hesitated. Just a beat. You always liked this one. I did, I said. Still do. It really captures a moment. Our waiter arrived and rescued her from replying. We ordered. She got the salmon. I got the steak, medium rare, because if we were going to do this, I wanted the experience to match the mood. She opened with small talk. Work. A new project. Her manager's annoying voice. I nodded, threw in the occasional really, or that sounds frustrating. Let her get comfortable. Let her believe I was easing up. Then, after our drinks arrived, I leaned back, sipped my bourbon, and asked, "Do you love him?" The air changed. Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. She blinked, swallowed. What? You heard me, I said, setting the glass down. Do you love him? Chase. She looked around, as if someone might be listening. Logan, this isn't the time. Oh, I think it is, I interrupted. Calm, cold, clear. In fact, I think it's the perfect time. You see, I've had time too. Time to process. Time to prepare. Her face changed. A shift from guilt to concern. The kind you see when someone realizes the deer wasn't as frozen in the headlights as they thought. I didn't mean to hurt you, she began. But you did, I said. Intentionally. Systematically. And for a while now. Ashley's voice dropped. I didn't plan for this to happen. Chase and I just what? I said, raising an eyebrow. Just happened to share hotel rooms? Just accidentally send each other love notes from a secret email? Just coincidentally open a savings account together 2 months ago? She flinched. You saw that. I saw everything. Silence. Then she did the thing she always did when cornered, played the therapist. I think we both haven't been happy, she said gently. I think we need to be honest about that. We haven't been connecting like we used to. And Chase. Chase, I echoed. Right. The coworker. The minner. The guy who told me I had 2 options while you watched like I was a contestant on a reality show. Ashley's mouth opened, then closed. She had no script for this version of me. You thought I'd lash out. Hit something. Lose control, I said. You were counting on it, weren't you? One outburst, and suddenly you're the brave survivor. Divorce on your terms. Half the assets. Maybe even more. I never. But I didn't, I said calmly. I waited. I watched. I documented. Ashley leaned back. Documented? I reached into my coat pocket and slid a slim black folder across the table. Inside, timelines. Emails. Receipts. Photos. Screenshots. A full dossier, clean and professional, courtesy of a friend in private security who owed me a favor after I helped him through a messy stock fraud case 2 years ago. Ashley opened it. Slowly. Her eyes darted across the pages. And with each turn, the red in her cheeks faded just a little more. I never lied about being good at details, I said. You just assumed I wasn't watching. She looked up, eyes wide. What do you want, Logan? I want you to think, I said, about the next few weeks. Because here's what's going to happen. She swallowed. You're going to move out. Quietly. No scene. No drama. You'll say it's a trial separation. Nothing final. Ashley's lip curled. You can't tell me what to. I can, I cut in. Because if you don't, that file gets emailed. To your boss. To Chase's wife. To your yoga group chat, if I'm feeling particularly theatrical. She stared at me like I'd grown fangs. You wouldn't. I smiled. Ashley, I'm not the man you thought I was. Not anymore. I gave you my best years. You gave me footnotes and fake meetings. And now? I'm done being the nice guy. She looked down at the file again, jaw clenched. I leaned in. You tried to make me the villain in your little rebrand. But here's the twist. Villains sleep just fine when they win. The waiter arrived with our entrees, blissfully unaware that he'd just walked into a war zone. Enjoy, he said with a chipper nod. Ashley didn't touch her salmon. I ate my steak slowly. She stood before dessert. No speech. No parting words. Just a woman who realized the man she underestimated had come to dinner with a plan. The next morning, the house felt emptier. Not because Ashley had left. It was the energy. The pretense. That odd, fragile tension that used to hang in the air like a chandelier with a cracked wire. It was gone. Now there was silence. Thick and honest. She didn't say a word when she came home after dinner. Just gathered a few things and headed for the guest room. She didn't even try to weasel her way into the master bed with one of her half-sincere apologies. I respected that. It meant she understood something had shifted. But understanding a storm doesn't stop it from coming. I woke up at 6 a.m., made coffee, sat in the kitchen, and waited. Sure enough, at 6:38, she walked in wearing her neutral armor, leggings, a soft gray sweater, and her "we're adults here" face. "I'd like to talk," she said. I didn't look up. Of course you would. She sighed and sat across from me. "Look, I get it. You're angry. And you have every right to be. I'm not going to defend what I did. But you need to understand, this doesn't have to get ugly." "Ugly already happened," I said, sipping calmly. "This is just cleanup." She flinched. That one stung. "I've spoken to a lawyer," she continued, as if she were tossing the first chess piece on the board. "She says we can go through mediation. No courts. No headlines. We can split the house, figure out custody of the dog." "We don't have a dog." "I mean metaphorically," she snapped, then caught herself. "Look, Logan, I know you're hurt. I am too. We were off track for a long time. Chase he filled something I felt was missing." "Like honesty?" I asked, smiling faintly. "Or maybe monogamy?" She glared. "Sarcasm isn't going to fix this. Neither is pretending you're the one who got betrayed." That silenced her for a second. Then she said it, the line I'd been waiting for. "You're not perfect either, Logan." I almost laughed. "No, I'm not. But I didn't turn our marriage into a side quest." She stared at her hands. "So what happens now?" I stood and walked to the counter. Picked up the folder from last night, still there, untouched. "What happens now is simple. We follow my terms. You don't get to make the rules." "I do when I'm holding the deck," I interrupted. "And trust me, I'm not bluffing." Her eyes narrowed. "What do you want? Revenge?" "No," I said flatly. "I want justice. Quiet, precise, memorable justice." Ashley shook her head, that familiar fake laugh escaping her lips. "This is insane. You're trying to ruin me." "No," I said. "I'm trying to remind you that actions have weight. You thought this would be clean. You thought you'd walk out the door with a fresh haircut and a boyfriend in a button-down. You forgot I still have your wedding ring invoice, your gym contract, and those texts about how you were so close to finally being free." Her mouth opened, then closed. "You were planning an exit. I'm giving you one. But it's not the one you wanted." She stood up, slow and angry. "You're bluffing." I walked to my laptop, opened a folder labeled Ash Exit Plan, and tilted the screen toward her. Screenshots. Audio messages. Her hotel receipts. Her name next to Chase's on a property listing she apparently forgot had public records. Her face lost color. "You've been watching me." "Correction," I said. "You gave me the reason to." She stepped back like the floor shifted. "I can't believe this. You're... what? Smart? Careful? Done." Her hand shook as she clutched her phone. "This is insane. I'll go. I'll move out. But if you even think of sending that to my boss or Chase's wife, you'll what?" I asked, folding my arms. "Sue me? Cry infidelity? File a restraining order because your husband finally found a spine?" Silence. "I'm not going to ruin your life, Ashley," I said, my voice calm again. "You're going to do that yourself if you keep playing defense in a game you already lost." She backed away slowly. "I need air." "Take your time," I said. "And while you're out there, start thinking about a one-bedroom lease." That afternoon, I went to the gym. It's funny. People say revenge is a dish best served cold. I think it's best served silent. Not a shout, not a punch. Just a slow, calculated unraveling. As I hit the bench press, my trainer, Tom, looked over and said, "You look focused." "Clarity," I said. "It's a hell of a drug." He nodded, clearly not understanding, but respecting the vibe. Later, as I left, I got a text from Chase. "Chase, we need to talk. Man to man." I laughed out loud. "Man to man? Buddy, you barely qualify as a house pet." I didn't respond. Instead, I called someone who mattered, Melanie, Chase's soon-to-be ex-wife. I'd found her Facebook weeks ago, quiet and private. But her email? That was gold. "Melanie," I said when she picked up. "You don't know me, but I think you deserve some clarity." There was a long pause. "Who is this?" "Let's just say I'm the husband of the woman your husband has been entertaining." The line went quiet. Then, I had a feeling. Well, now you have proof. And with that, I pressed send. 2 days after my call with Melanie, Chase's carefully curated life fell apart like soggy cardboard. She didn't just get the email, I sent it with attachments. Timestamps. Screenshots. A helpful PDF titled, Chase Donovan, the working definition of trash. She replied in less than an hour. "Thank you. He's out." Ashley came home late that night. Her eyes red, her face pale. Did you tell her? I raised an eyebrow. Tell who? She didn't even have the strength to lie. Just sank into a chair like gravity was extra heavy that day. Chase is gone. She kicked him out. Took his car. Froze the accounts. Sounds like he's having a rough week, I said, sipping my tea. Let me know if he needs a ride. She didn't answer. She didn't cry. That would have required self-awareness. She just stared, like a chess player who finally saw the checkmate coming 3 moves too late. By week's end, Ashley moved out. Not with a dramatic fight, not with a suitcase hurled down the stairs. Just a quiet procession of boxes into the back of her friend Caitlin's SUV. No goodbye. No apology. Just a heavy pause in the doorway. I never wanted it to end like this, she said. I looked at her for the first time in days. Not with anger. Not with pity. Just the stillness of someone watching a movie he's already seen the ending to. You didn't want it to end at all, I said. You just wanted it to get more convenient. Then I closed the door before she could respond. A week later, I hosted a small get-together. Just some friends, beers, music, nothing fancy. I called it Logan's New Lease Party. People came curious. They left inspired. At some point, someone asked, "Man, aren't you mad?" Like furious. I nodded. Was. For about 48 hours. Then I remembered I don't light fires. I reroute the gas line. They laughed. But I meant it. Ashley texted that night. Just one line. Ashley, I hope you're proud of what you've done. I replied, immensely. Then I blocked her. Months passed. I renovated the house. New paint. New furniture. New rules. I started hiking again. Built a garden. Wrote more. Laughed more. One night, I found an old wedding photo buried in a junk drawer. I stared at it. Me, younger, smiling. Ashley, radiant, eyes full of secrets I hadn't learned to spot yet. I didn't shred it. I didn't burn it. I framed it. Hung it in the garage. Not out of sentiment. Out of memory. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't about pain, it's about proof. Proof that you saw the game. Played the long move. And walked away a winner.